As I stood there, realizing I could actually be in hell, a radiant beam of light pierced through the darkness above me. As this light touched my face, I felt an awesome presence go through me, and my entire body seemed to lift off the ground and be translated up into this light and radiance. As I'm being drawn up into it, I can see that it's coming from a circular-shaped opening far above me. As I moved into this tunnel of light, I began to see that waves of radiance were coming off the end and moving up towards me. The first wave of light passed into me, and an amazing sense of comfort and warmth came into my spirit. That's a living light. Halfway along the tunnel, another wave of radiance came up, and complete peace. I thought in that darkness I couldn't see my hand in front of my face. I wonder in this light if I can see my human form. I saw my fingers and my hand and my arm, but it was transparent, spirit-like. As I moved it, I realized that it was my own hand, and it was full of white radiance. The same light at the end of the tunnel had now seemingly filled my spiritual being. As I moved through this radiant light even closer, another wave of radiance came up. Joy. Unbelievable joy. As I came out of the tunnel, I could see the enormity of the light open up. Radiance seemed to fill every aspect. No darkness, no shadow, just light coming forth from a central core. As I looked, I thought, star systems, constellations, galaxies must find their energy from this light. What on earth is it? Is this just some power in the universe? Is this just some energy force of goodness in the cosmos? Or could there be someone in the light? As I'm looking there, in the center of the light, I hear this voice speak to me of a man, the same person who led me through the Lord's Prayer. He said, "Ian, do you wish to return?" As I heard his voice, I thought, there is someone in there. Return where? Where am I? I looked behind me, and here was the tunnel going back into darkness. I thought, darkness, hospital bed. Have I died? Have I left my human form? Am I standing here out of my body, talking to a being of light who knows my name? Or am I comatized? Am I lying in that hospital bed, eyes shut, having some vision or dream? Am I hallucinating? I thought, this seems awfully real. I thought, if this is real, then yes, I don't know where I am. I want to return. If I'm out of my physical body and dead, I want to go back. As I said that, he said, "Ian, if you wish to return, you must see in a new light." I thought, light. See the light. Look at this light. Are you the true light? I was asked the question of him. He spoke to me and he said, "Ian, God is light, and in him there is no darkness at all." 1 John 1:5. As he spoke these words out of this cloud of radiance surrounding him, I could read the words that he was speaking. Just like I could read in the ambulance. God is light, and in him there is no darkness at all. 1 John 1:5. I'd never read a Bible in my life, so I had no concept that this was out of the New Testament. I had no concept that this was Scripture. And as I stood there, I thought, darkness? I've just come from darkness. And there's no darkness here. There's no evil. There's nothing demonic. I thought, is that God? He knows my name. He knows my thought before I even speak. It's as though he can read everything within me. Nothing is hidden from him. I thought, no, they must have made a mistake. I should go back into the darkness where I belong. As I began to move back from the presence of God, I watched as waves of radiance pursued me. I expected this light to touch me and judge me into hell. But as the first light touched me, instead of judgment, I felt unconditional, undeserved love. As I stood there, another wave of this light came. I seemed to be getting inundated with waves of radiant love. As this love continued to intensify, I thought, God, you can't love me. Look what I've done wrong in my life. More love came. So I said, well, God, I've cursed you. His response, pure love. I said, well, I've slept around. So I've taken drugs. More love. And the love got stronger. Oh, that's not right. Oh, God, love me over and told God would judge you, send you to hell. What's happening? I said, I've done this sin. I dredged up the filthiest demonic stuff I've ever done in my life. And I spoke it out. That was it. Pure love. That was it. I was undone. God's love got so strong that I almost collapsed on the ground in a screaming heap of tears, shaking under the acceptance and mercy of God. When I asked him to forgive me of all my sins, he had forgiven all of them. As I stood outside this radiant light at a distance from the presence of God, I thought to myself, I wonder if God would permit me to come in and see him face to face. I said, God, could I come in? Could I possibly see you? I felt no response from him, but I sensed the love was so great for me that he wouldn't stop me. As I walked in, this healing light within this cloud was touching my broken heart. I could feel the presence of God ministering and touching the deepest, brokenest part of me. And the love got so strong that I could hardly walk, and then the light began to part. As I saw a man's bare feet, dazzling white garments reaching down towards his ankles, as I quickly lifted my face up, I could see the chest of the man with his arms outstretched towards me, and out of his face, pure light. I stood in incredible amazement of the beauty of God. His face was so bright that as you looked into it, it was like you were looking into eternity. It was the form of man, but the face of God. So he puts his presence around me, his arms. I feel the embrace. You are ruined for life, for the good, because the love of God then encompasses who you are. As his presence embraced me, I tried to look through the light to see his face. As I tried to see his face, he would not permit me to see his physical face unveiled. He began to move. As he moved with his hand, it's as though he wanted to show me something behind him, and directly behind him, as he stepped aside, there was the opening, the same diameter as the tunnel, and I realized that he'd been standing in front of a doorway which was transparent, and as I looked through that transparent opening and doorway was an entire new galaxy, a whole new earth with a whole new heaven. It was like a parallel universe. As I'm standing there, I can see fields and pastures, I can see flowers, I can see grass with light coming off them. And so I'm standing there looking at this, incredible. Look at it, it's paradise, it's the Garden of Eden. I can see a crystal clear river, trees along its banks, valleys, mountains in the distance. As I'm standing, I'm thinking, I belong here. Why wasn't I born here in the first place? Well, I stood there and about to enter in, the presence of God came right in front of me, and as Jesus stepped in front of me, he said, Ian, now that you've seen, do you wish to remain here or do you wish to return? I thought, well, I'm not a masochist. I've got nothing to return for. I want to stay here. As I stood there, he didn't move. I have no debt. I owe no any money. I've got none. Didn't move. I said, well, I've got no children or none that I know of. I've got no one back on earth that loves me. I've never had anyone love me like this. Please allow me to stay here. As I look back to say goodbye, cruel world, I saw my mum. And God shows me that there's one person who loves me. I thought, I can't do it. I thought if I go into heaven, my mother would think I went to hell. She's lost all her family. She's an only child. It would devastate her. I thought, I can't do it. I've lived such a selfish life. God, I want to go back. I want to tell her that what she believes in is real. I looked back and I said, I want to go back. He said, Ian, if you return, you must see things in a new light. You must see through my eyes of eternity, from a heavenly perspective, through eyes of love and forgiveness. So I said, okay, how do I go back? As I looked behind me, next to my mum was my dad, my brother, my sister, hundreds of thousands of people. As I'm looking at them, there was a sea of humanity going off into just a blur. As I stood there, I said, God, why do you show me all these people? I know my immediate family, but who are all these others? Most of them are strangers to me. He said, Ian, I want you to return and tell not just your mother, but I want you to tell all these other people what you've seen, because most of them will not step foot inside a church any longer to hear my name. And I said, well, that's true. I've been to church before and I'd never met you there. I'm sure these people are just like me. They've tried and they've not found you. I said, but God, I don't know them and I don't love them. Who are they to me? God said, son, I love them. I desire all of them to come to know me. And that's why for the last 23 years I've taken the time to try and tell every person who would listen to me that God loves you. And he wishes that not one of you would miss it. Every person on the earth could have an opportunity to respond to that forgiveness and that amazing grace and love and be saved. And he will forgive you if you turn the bitterness and the anger and resentment over to him. He will cleanse you and set you free and wash you as white as snow. So I stood there and I said, God, I want to go back. I said, I don't know how I got here. How can I return back down a tunnel, back into darkness and back into my body? He said, Ian, tilt your head. Now feel the liquid drain from your eye, son. Now open your eye and see. I was instantaneously back in my physical form in a hospital with a doctor that had been working on me, holding my right foot in the air with a sharp instrument like a scalpel or a knife, prodding the base of my foot. I could feel nothing, prodding it like a dead piece of meat. I hear the voice of God interrupt my thought, and he said this, son, I've just given your life back.